Have you ever felt like life was tossing you around, like waves crashing against you, and fear pulling you under? And no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't keep your head above water. If so, you are not alone. There's a story in the Bible where someone faced exactly that. Peter, one of the Jesus disciples, he stepped out of a boat during a raging storm, and for a few breathtaking moments, he walked on the water. Then something that happened. He started sinking. This moment isn't just an ancient miracle. It's a picture of faith, fear, what it means to trust God when everything inside you screams that it's impossible. And here's the thing. Peter's story has a faith lesson that could literally change your life today. So let's dive deep in this moment, break it down, and discover how walking on water still speaks powerfully to us in our modern world. The story begins in Matthew 14. Jesus has just finished feeding thousands of people with just 5 loaves and 2 fish. A miracle that left everyone amazed. But instead of soaking in the spotlight, Jesus went up on a mountain to pray. Meanwhile, he told his disciples to get into a boat and cross the Sea of Galilee. As night fell, the disciples rowed across the water. But soon, the wind picked up, waves crashed against their little boat. These were experienced by fishermen, but even they were terrified. And then something unthinkable happened. They looked out and saw a figure walking toward them on the water. Imagine the fear. Out in the middle of a storm, exhausted, and suddenly a figure in the waves. They thought it was a ghost. But Jesus called out, "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." That's when Peter did something bold, something reckless, something unforgettable. He said, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you on the water." And Jesus said one word, "Come." Now, pause for a moment and picture this. 11 disciples stayed in the safety of boat, but Peter, impulsive, passionate Peter, decided to do the impossible. He actually climbed over the side of the boat and put his foot on the water, and it held him. Step by step, Peter walked towards Jesus, walking on water. Can you imagine the thrill? For a few seconds, Peter was literally defying everything he knew about physics, gravity, and human limitations. But then, scriptures say, Peter looked around, he saw the wind, he noticed the waves, and fear started to creep in. The moment his eyes shifted from Jesus to the storm, he began to sink. "Lord, save me," Peter cried out. Immediately, don't miss that. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," Jesus said, "why did you doubt?" And as soon as they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. The storm was over. So, what's the faith lesson in this? Why does it matter us today? Well, first, let's recognize this. Peter actually walked on water. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, but he experienced a miracle because he was willing to step out in faith. Here's the lesson. Faith isn't just believing, it's stepping out. It's easy to talk about trust when life is calm, but faith shows up when the waves are against us. Peter teaches us three things here. First, faith requires risk. The other disciples stayed in the boat, safe, comfortable, but only Peter experienced walking on water. Why? Because faith often means leaving your comfort zone. 2. Faith requires focus. As long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus, he was fine. But the moment he focused on the storm, fear took over. Isn't that true in life? The more we stare at our problems, the bigger they look. But when we keep our eyes fixed on Christ, we find strength. 3. Faith requires trust when we fail. Peter sank, but he also reached out. And Jesus didn't hesitate. He grabbed him immediately. That's grace. Even when we stumble, God is right there to catch us. This story isn't just about Peter, it's about you and me. We all face storms, financial struggles, broken relationships, health crisis, anxiety, and the future. The waves are real, the fear is real, but so is Jesus' invitation, come. The question is, will we step out of our boat? Okay, let's get practical. How do we take this 2000-year-old story and live it today? Identify your boat. Your boat is whatever you cling for a safety. Maybe it's a steady job, relationship, your savings account, or even your comfort zone. None of those things are bad, but sometimes they keep us from experiencing real faith. Ask yourself, what's the boat I am afraid to live in? Listen to Jesus' voice. Peter didn't jump out recklessly. He waited for Jesus to say, come. In your life, this means spending time in prayer, scripture, and wise counsel. Faith isn't blind, it's hearing God's call and responding. 3. Take the first step. Faith isn't built in theory, it's built in action. Maybe for you, it's starting that business God's put on your heart. Maybe it's forgiving someone who hurt you. Maybe it's serving in a new way at church. Miracle happens when you step out. Expect fear but choose focus. Let's be real. Storm won't disappear right away. You may feel fear. You may face resistance. But the key is focus. Keep your eyes on Jesus, not the waves. Pray, read scripture, surround yourself with people who lift you up. Remember, grace when you sing. And yes, sometimes you will sing, we all do, but sinking doesn't mean failing. It means learning. Every time Peter stumbled, Jesus was there to lift him. God's grace is bigger than you doubt. Think about it. If Peter never stepped out, he never would have walked on water. He never would have learned this lesson. Maybe your miracle is waiting on the other side of one bold step of faith. Now let's zoom out. What does walking on water look like in modern lives? For some, it's choosing faith over fear in uncertain time. Like facing a job loss but trusting God will provide. For others, it's stepping out in courage. Maybe God's calling you to share your story, start a ministry, or forgive someone who wronged you. For many, it's trusting God in weakness. Health struggles, anxiety, loneliness, these can feel like drowning. But Jesus' hands is always reaching out. Here's the key. Walking on water doesn't always means something dramatic. Sometimes it looks like small daily steps of faith. Choosing hope over despair, choosing love over bitterness, and choosing trust over control. Peter's story is a reminder that faith isn't just about perfection, it's about direction. It's about where your eyes are fixed. When your focus is on Christ, you will find that impossible suddenly becomes possible. So here's the challenge. What's one area in your life where Jesus is calling you to step out of the boat? Maybe it's starting something new. Maybe it's ending something toxic. Or maybe it's trusting Him in an area you have been holding on tightly. Whatever it is, remember, the miracle didn't happen while Peter stayed in the boat. It happened when he stepped out. And yes, he sank, but also he walked. And more importantly, he discovered that even when his faith was small, Jesus was strong. That's the lesson that can change your life. Faith is not the absence of fear, it's stepping out in trust, even when fear is screaming. So today, take courage, listen for His voice, step out and discover what it means to walk on water. If this message encouraged you, take a moment to reflect. What's the storm in your life right now? Where might Jesus be calling you to trust Him more deeply? Remember this, Jesus doesn't just calm storms. Sometimes He calls out to walk on the top of them. And the same hand that reached out for Peter is reaching out for you today. Hey, if this story spoke to you, I would love you to join this journey with me. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this with your friends who needs a little faith boost today. Because the truth is, we are all in boat, but when we step out together, we discover just how strong the God's love really is. Thank you.